All right, everyone. My name is Lisa Hamilton, and today's training is the 5-step injury-free running formula, how to break the cycle of injury, get faster, and stay injury-free even if you've been injured for months or years. And what I can tell you about this formula that you're going to be learning today is that it is helping runners of all abilities, all levels, all over the world to recondition themselves so that they break the cycle of injury, gain the highest, most consistent mileage ever, and feel fantastic while doing it, and stay injury free so that they can enjoy running and movement for life. And this is the same formula that I use to run my highest, most consistent mileage ever. And it's what I teach my clients so that they can do the same. So the information I'm going to be sharing with you over the next 45 minutes, it has the power to change not only your running, but to change your life, that it can have real consequences if you don't put this into practice, since you and I both know that running is not just what we do, it's a big part of who we are, and when we're not able to do it, it affects every other area of our lives. So who is this for? This is for any runner who is over age 40 and is currently injured or suffers from recurring injuries. This is for any runner who is over age 40 and has tried physical therapy and chiropractic, massage, acupuncture, painful injections, and more, and didn't get the results that they hoped for. This is also for any runner who is over age 40 who wants to run further and get faster and stay injury free so that they can enjoy running and movement for life. So who am I? Again, my name is Lisa Hamilton, and I'm the founder of The Conscious Runner. I'm a competitive runner of over 25 years, competing in distances from 800 meters all the way up to the marathon. And some of my highlights would be participating in the World Cross Country Championships twice, representing the U.S. Virgin Islands, and almost qualifying for the Athens Olympics. I'm also a certified running coach and functional movement coach, and my specialty is helping runners, masters runners, runners who are over age 40 of all levels and all abilities to recondition themselves so that they break the cycle of injury, gain the consistency that they need in their running to achieve their goals, and also stay injury free even if they've been dealing with injuries for months or years. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. So in the next 45 minutes, we're going to cover the real reason why rest, physical therapy, chiropractic, massage therapy, acupuncture, and more are not long-term strategies to running without injury, and exactly what you need to do that works much quicker than you think. We're going to cover how one of our masters runners went from a 2-year bout of debilitating plantar fasciitis to averaging 4 marathons and 8 half marathons in less than a year, and the secret on how this could work for you. We're going to cover the little-known mindset tweak to go from anxiety and stress and overwhelm and fear of doing more damage to your body, poor health, and decreased energy, aches and pains, to feeling fit and strong and active and healthy again, not only in your running, but also your life, practically overnight. And how our clients go from plantar fasciitis, peroneal tendinopathy, Achilles tendinopathy, patellar tendinopathy, shin splints, IT band syndrome, sprains, strains, ligament tears, pinched nerves, and more, to shaving 10 to 20 minutes off their half and full marathon bests. And how they are doing all of this without painkillers, braces, fancy taping techniques, 2 to 3 weekly therapies, and without having to stop running. So my big promise to you is a 5-step game plan to break the cycle of injury in 10 weeks or less, shatter your personal bests, and prevent future injuries, even if you're over age 40 and have been injured for months or years. Now, I know that this might seem impossible for some of you, especially if you've been dealing with injuries for months or years, but the principles that you're going to learn in this training are the same ones that I use to break the vicious cycle of injury, and it's the same ones that we teach our clients so that they can do the same. So let me just check in with you. Does this sound like you? Do you start each run wondering if you're going to have to cut the run short, if you're going to be able to finish it because you're in so much pain? Has your pain forced you to change the way that you sit, stand, walk, drive, and most of all, the way that you run? Is it not only affecting your running, but your quality of life? Are you afraid to sign up for races because you don't know if you're going to be able to make it to the starting line healthy or even be able to get across the finish line strong? Do you deep down secretly know that you're capable of so much more, of going further and faster, but you're terrified that you'll never achieve it? Do you feel like you've been to every doctor, chiropractor, physical therapist, or massage therapist, or personal trainer within a 25-mile radius and still haven't gotten the results that you hope for? Does it scare you to think that you might be doing more damage to your body or someday may be forced to stop running? I mean, what would that do to you? What would that do to your life? Well, that's not the real problem. The real problem is that you haven't made what I call the shifts. And I'm going to talk about what those are in a second. But for now, know this, that once you make them, you'll get up in the morning in a body that feels like it's working for you instead of fighting you each step of the way. You'll increase your mileage, get faster, enter more races, set personal bests each time, knowing that more are to come. You'll once again feel like yourself as you tap back into the full joy of running like you had when you first started. So the bottom line is this: there are 5 key shifts that you must make in order to break the cycle of injury, shatter your personal bests, and be able to enjoy running and movement for life. And I'm going to walk you through all 5 of these shifts on this session. So the first shift is to ditch your goals. And yes, you heard me right. Ditch your goals. And I like to put this shift first because none of the other shifts will work without it, and you'll see why. There are too many runners that are chasing short-term goals and in the process are sacrificing long-term dreams. The state of running today is that things are just simply not what they seem. You go into any social media platform, Facebook groups, Instagram, it doesn't matter which one, and you're going to be bombarded by runners who are posting the miles that they run, the paces that they run, the races that they've done, the times that they've done those races in. The truth is that most of the runners who are posting these updates are in some degree of pain. And what ends up happening is that they keep running and running and running until they do enough damage to their body that the pain becomes so great, it ultimately forces them to stop. The statistics for injured runners is 65 to 80% of all runners are injured at any given time. Injuries are the number one reason that runners miss time from running. So getting back to ditching your goals, because goals is where it all starts. And it's not just with runners who are new, but really competitive runners that have been doing it for decades. Distances from the 5K all the way up to the marathon, it all starts with setting a goal. You set a goal and then get really excited about it. Maybe it's running your first half marathon. Maybe it's running your first marathon. Maybe it's running your first ultra or qualifying for Boston or setting a personal best in whatever distance that you choose. And you begin to train and everything seems to go well. You're building fitness, you're adding miles, you're getting faster. And many times during your runs, you even dream about what it's going to be like to line up at that starting line of that goal race, the excitement and the buzz and the infinite possibility in the air, and what it's going to feel like to cross that finish line as your family and friends cheer you on and you have that deep satisfaction as you hold that finisher's medal in your hand, you hang it around your neck, knowing that you just ran the race of your life and that there's going to be many more, that you dream of this on many of your runs and just delight in the joy of running. And then bam, you're hit with an injury within weeks of that goal race. And all of the training, all of the sacrifices, all of the hard work that was put in for sometimes months is all gone in an instant. All the times that you got up early in the morning when you were tired and wanted to stay in bed, and all of the times that you even went to bed later just so that you could get that run in, and the times where you ran when it was hot, the times that you ran when it was cold, and you're now faced with the possibility of not being able to reap the rewards of all of the effort that you put into the training. But here is the thing, is that injury, it was actually in the making for a long time, weeks and months before. But often when it happens, it seems like it happens as a surprise, that there was no inkling that you were about to be injured. And it creates this sense of panic, this desperation, and this mad dash to salvage any training possible. And what ends up happening is you either miss your goal race or you run the race injured. And then there is a period of rest and recovery, and the cycle starts all over again. You set a goal, you start building fitness, and injury happens. The desperation and panic sets in. Maybe you're sidelined, maybe you run the race injured, and many runners repeat this cycle for months, years, and sometimes even decades. So the state of running today is that 65% of runners are injured each year, and 50% of those injuries are reoccurring. And here is a breakdown. Runner's knee is at 40%, Achilles pain, 11%, stress fractures, 7%, plantar fasciitis, which is a big one, 15%, IT band, 12%, and hamstring pain, 6%. Lastly, shin splints at 15%. And again, 50% of these are reoccurring, which means that the same person will experience the same injury over and over again. And this is so disruptive to performance goals and even being able to get out there and enjoy the run. So if we take a look at it, it takes around 4 to 6 months for an average training cycle if someone were to peak in a particular performance, like a half marathon or even a marathon. And it's an average of 2 to 3 months per year of running that is lost to pain and injury, which means only 30 to 35% of runners are running pain-free enough to achieve their goals. And this is a tragic reality because, again, most runners are running with some degree of pain, and because of that, will never reach their full potential in running or in life, because it's not just about your running, and it is about your life. It's about how you show up for yourself. It's about the clarity and the focus and the joy that running brings to you. It's about you being a better spouse, a better parent, a better worker, and a happier person. You've got goals, you've got dreams, and you deserve to accomplish them. So what do the 30 to 35% of runners who are consistently enjoying running and achieving their goals know that you don't? Here it is. They stopped looking for information and started seeking transformation. There is so much information that is out there, and much of it is overwhelming, outdated, inconsistent. None of it is customized to you, and it has little to no support. So it's just simply not getting people results. And once you stop looking for information and start seeking transformation, you'll be amazed at how quickly your running and your life take off. You'll be a part of that 30 to 35% of runners who are consistently running, shattering their personal bests, and enjoying a fulfilled, active life. So let's take a look at Shift 2. Shift 2 is the issues aren't just in the tissues. So the issues aren't just in the tissues. And I'm a huge fan of Greg Lehman. He's a physiotherapist, a chiropractor, and strength and conditioning specialist who addresses musculoskeletal issues within a biopsychosocial model. So what that means is it's not just looking at the mechanics or biomechanics, which is why I'm not a big fan of the stuff that comes up on Google and the stuff that comes up on YouTube, because it is so myopic in its approach, and it just keeps keeps runners stuck and repeating the cycle of injury for months and years. So within this biopsychosocial model, there's been a lot of research that is done around pain and why we experience it and how we can influence it. The issues aren't just always in the tissues. That when I started to really delve deep into what Greg Lehman was doing and some of the results that he found is that people have been known to have crooked spines, joint degeneration, muscle tears, broken bones, snapped ligaments, and have absolutely no pain at all. And other times, someone can have something like a paper cut or a small strain and feel incapacitated for days. So pain doesn't necessarily mean that there is tissue damage, because you can have pain with absolutely no tissue damage, but you can also have pain with lots of tissue damage and lots of pain with minimal damage. So what this is really saying to you is that there's no rhyme or reason between the correlation of tissue damage and pain, that the issues just simply aren't just in the tissues. And to further illustrate this, I pulled these stats from some of Greg Lehman's work, is that 96% of athletes younger than 22 will show changes on an MRI that some people call abnormal. 37% of 20-year-olds with no pain have disc degeneration in their spine. And I hear so many people who come to us and they're complaining of back pain that they've had for months, years, some even for decades, that they just simply can't seem to get rid of. And they've been told that they have disc degeneration and that is the cause of it, and that is what they believe. And I'm just offering another approach here, that might not be everything that's in play with the pain. 57% of 20 to 50-year-olds with no hip pain will have cartilage and ligament tears. And I know that this might be something new for you to hear. It might be almost something impossible to even believe if you're someone who has been told that you have these things and have lived with that thought. But here's the thing. We always find the pain that we look for, and many abnormalities are really normalities. So we must look at things through a biopsychosocial lens and address them with a biopsychosocial process in order to get the best results in our running and the best results in our lives. So what does this mean? When we think of stress, we often think of stress appearing in the back of the shoulders, in the back of the neck, having tension in the head, but stress can actually appear in many places in the body. It can appear in your calves, it can appear in your quads, it can appear in your glutes. It's not isolated to just the upper back, neck, and head area, and it affects the physiology in ways that many people are completely unaware of. And there are a number of life events that can cause significant stress, like death of a spouse, for example, or even going through a divorce, or even with finances, which is a big one for a lot of people where they've got financial concerns. And I'll tell you that there's one thing having a few percentage debt on a credit card, but it's another thing when you get into health debt, because that can be infinitely and exponentially more expensive. And I know that I've spent over $5,000 alone on just custom orthotics, and even upwards of $10,000 when I was dealing with one injury after another. So I know that finances can be a concern for people. And I generally find that there are really two types of people, that there are people who have reasons, and then there are people who have results. And the people who get results are the ones who, in spite of anything else that is going on in their life, in spite of relational turmoil, in spite of debt, in spite of kids going to college, in spite of a broken down car, that they decide that their quality of life is worth more than anything, and they are willing to invest in it. And I know for myself that I don't want to get to the end of my life and look back and to know that there were things that I could have done to increase the quality of it. Other stressful life events include things like being fired at work and also retirement. Parenting is another big one, and not having the support of close family members and friends. And a lot of people really don't consider this as being part of the reason as to why they are continuing to repeat the cycle of injury over and over again for months, many times for years. In fact, I speak to women all the time who do not have complete ownership of their own health, their own well-being. And what I mean by that is that they have to defer to someone else to get the okay as to whether or not they can address or even influence it. And it really breaks my heart. And this is no disrespect to the husbands that are out there, and no disrespect for the wives that are out there, because it can go that way as well. But when there is no support, then that can become extremely stressful and a part of this dynamic of someone who's just simply not being able to get the skills and the strategies that they need to get from where they want to go in their running and where they want to go in their lives. So it's great when both people are aligned, when both people are on the same page, and both people are supportive of each other in ways that will enhance the other person's life and not detract from it. So you are responsible for your health. This is your life. This is your quality of life. These are your goals, and nobody knows what your running means to you but you. So if you don't take a stand for yourself, then who will? And that's exactly what Edward did. He took a stand for himself. When Edward came to me, he was dealing with hip flexor pain, hamstring pain, knee pain, hip pain, and low back pain. And what started out as one injury had quickly cascaded into many. And every single time he laced up his shoes and headed out the door for a run, within 2 to 3 days, his pains would return with a vengeance and force him to take time off. And he had tried a number of things to overcome this because he had been dealing with it for so many years. He went to doctors and chiropractors and physical therapists and tried straps, bands, and rubs. And all he wanted to do was to run pain-free because he loved it so much, especially running 5Ks. But nothing he was doing was working the way that he hoped. So we ended up working together. And after 2 weeks, he was no longer getting up in the mornings in pain. After 5 years, he was in pain every single morning. And 2 weeks of working with us, he was no longer getting up in the mornings in pain. And at 5 weeks, he was no longer experiencing any pain in his left hip flexor and his hamstring, something that he hadn't experienced in equally as long. So his transformation was absolutely amazing, and it wouldn't have happened if he hadn't stood up for himself. So the bottom line is this: no amount of physical therapy, chiropractic care, painkillers, massage, acupuncture, or strength or mobility work will ever help you consistently run injury-free, achieve your goals, and be mobile and active for life if the contributing biopsychosocial factors are not addressed. And if you don't take a stand for yourself, you don't take a stand for your quality of life, if you don't take a stand for who you want to be and who you want to become, then none of this will happen. And it's not a matter of whether it's good or bad or right or wrong. It's always a matter of whether it's working for you or not. And if it's not working for you, then that's going to require you to make some changes. And that could be changes in how you're thinking about things. It could be changes in how you make decisions. It could be changes in what your priorities are, and certainly changes in what you're doing. And those changes, they may even be uncomfortable, but they're necessary to get you where you want to go. So let's move on to the third shift, which is practice conscious running. And I know for many of you, and certainly the people that we work with before they came to us, that their running was like trying to run a race with one foot nailed to the starting line, where they were using up a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of resources, and they weren't getting anywhere. That the only thing that was happening is that they were just missing races. They were getting more stressed, more frustrated, and just not being able to enjoy something that they loved. So conscious running is the fastest way to recondition yourself so that these injuries, these chronic injuries, experiencing them for months or years, they drop away. You can gain the consistency that you need in your training to reach your goals and also stay injury free so that you can enjoy running and movement for life Even if you struggled with injuries for months or years and run half marathons, full marathons, triathlons, ultra marathons, Ragnar races, Spartan races, or run for the pure joy of it. So, there are really only three reasons why you're not getting the results that you want in your running, why you're not getting the results that you want in your life. And the first reason is it is simply not that important to you. And I know that this sounds harsh to say, but the truth is that we always find the resources to do those things that are most important to us. And I can't imagine that anyone on this training, it would be reason one, because you simply wouldn't have been here. You're all action takers. You showed up and we're 25 minutes into the training and you're still here. So reason one, it is not that important to you. And again, it's not a matter of whether it is right or wrong or good or bad. It's a matter of whether it's working for you or not. And if it is not working for you, then you might want to consider something different. So reason two is you haven't gotten the right help. And I know that this is certainly the case for the people that we work with, is that they've done a number of things over long periods of times, weeks, months, and years to try to break the cycle of injury and haven't gotten the results that they hope for. So reason number two is you haven't gotten the right help. And that probably fits a lot of you that is listening to this training right now. And the third reason is you're just not sure that anything can help you, that you've gotten to be so skeptical that anything can because of the number of things that you've tried and the amount of time and energy and money that you've invested in them, and you still come up with one injury after another. So I get it. I mean, skepticism is a real thing. And a lot of the people that we work with were really skeptical before we began working with them. But again, we always get the resources for the things that are most important to us, even if that resource is that we need to just simply trust again, that trust that there's a pathway through to the other side because others have done it as well. So you can either have guesswork, hard work, or a framework. And the old way, which is unconscious running, involves a tremendous amount of guesswork and also hard work. So let's take a look at what that looks like. And this is if you keep repeating this cycle of injury, and in order to just keep running, to keep going, to keep doing something that you love, that you're taking painkillers just to get through the runs, to feel some sense of normalcy, to feel like yourself, going from one pair of running shoes to another without getting any relief, trying insert after insert. And I know that I've shared multiple times on how I've spent upwards of $5,000 on custom orthotics and inserts and shoes and still didn't get the results that I hoped for. Fancy taping techniques that promise to help you recondition your injury and get back to running the way that you want, but they don't. And then there are doctors and chiropractors and physical therapists and massage therapists and co-pays and other practitioner after practitioner and 2 to 3 weekly therapies a week. And it's just exhausting going from one to another, not to mention the amount of time that it takes. And I'm certainly not saying that there isn't a place for those things, because there absolutely is. But the place is for them is not to get you to Boston. It's not to help you finish your first half marathon. It's not to help you enjoy running and movement for life. That is going to require something else. There's taking supplement after supplement, looking for that miracle one that is going to help you to feel like a runner again. And then there's consuming mounds and mounds of free information, hopping from Facebook group to Facebook group, getting random advice from runners who aren't experts, just looking for that shred, that tip, that strategy that is going to get you where you want to go, even though you've been dealing with this for months or years. And then there's strength training and foam rolling and personal trainers and gait analysis and praying to the running gods and more and more and more. And yeah, maybe some people this works out for eventually, but at what cost? I mean, what cost financially? What cost emotionally? What cost in energy and time and frustration and stress and watching the windows to their goals close, to missing opportunities and not being able to do something that you love? So for most people, the conventional wisdom, it just simply is not worth it, and it does not work. So let's take a look at the new way. The new way is conscious running, and that's really embracing the biopsychosocial model. It's taking into consideration not only the biomechanical, but also the psychological and social lifestyle factors that influence injury, pain, prevention, and performance. So the biomechanical and movement factors include things like old injuries, imbalances, overstriding, cadence, asymmetries, tightnesses, weaknesses, footwear, training errors. Lifestyle and social factors include things like sleep, stress, which we spoke about, how people often think that stress is only in the upper back and the neck and tension in the head, but how it can appear in other places of the body as well, and that it leads to overuse, breakdown, injury, and subsequently pain. Work-life balance is another element to look at. General health, support, and relationships, that it's important to have people that are in your corner, that are really aligned with your mission, that are supporting you in not only in your running, but you having the best quality of life. Finances, nutrition, emotional and psychological influences include anxiety, worry, fear, depression, and I know that a lot of you are experiencing this. A lot of you who have been in chronic pain for months and even years, or keep repeating this cycle of injury. And I know that because I hear that from the people that I speak to, and I'm a runner too. I've been running over 25 years competitively and have experienced this as well. Anger and rage and incredible amounts of frustration, just simply not being able to get the kind of traction in your running that you need to achieve your goals. Resentments, and then thoughts and beliefs, because what we think we become. So it's really about embracing the biopsychosocial model, and that is what's going to get you to where you want to go in your running. And that's exactly what we did for Patricia. Patricia is a busy mom of 4. She's run multiple half marathons, and she was painfully tight and sore when we first met her. And she was doing everything that she knew how to do, but just simply could not get loose. And I don't know if you've ever felt that kind of tightness before, where it starts out gradually, and then as you continue to run, it gets worse and worse, and it literally feels like your tendons are pulling the bones away from your body, and you can feel your form degrading with each stride. Well, this is a surefire way to get injured. So we took her through our process, and she got faster and set a personal record in her half marathon. And the same thing for Jesse. Jesse was a multiple marathon finisher, training for his 5th marathon when we met, and he was in constant daily pain. He hurt all the time. In fact, he said simple tasks such as getting out of bed, standing up after sitting for a while, and walking are all experienced with varying degrees of pain and lethargy. And he never knew when his next step was going to be the one that forced him to stop running. Nothing he was doing was giving him the results that he hoped for. So we ended up working together, and inside of about 8 weeks, he was not only able to complete that marathon pain-free, but he also did it in a personal best. So the bottom line is, conscious running works. You can either have guesswork, you can have hard work, or you can have a framework like Jesse did, like Patricia did, like our clients do, like the framework that I outlined for you in this training, that you can take this framework and you can put it to use so that you can get the results that you want in your running and the results that you want in your life. So let's talk about the 4th shift, and that is the fatal mistake. So the fatal mistake is that one size just simply does not fit all. And I have found that from helping hundreds of runners, hundreds and thousands of runners over the last 2 decades, is that 80% of what everyone needs to know is the same and needs to do, that there's some overlap there, but that 20% that is customized specifically for you, that is the percent that makes the actual difference. And if you don't get this 20% right, it is the difference between not getting where you want to go in your running in life and actually getting there. So what I want you to do at this point is to really ask yourself, do you have a plan that is specifically designed for you? Is it a plan that takes your unique needs, your unique makeup, your unique psycho, social, and lifestyle factors into consideration? Is it a plan that is getting you the results that you hope for? And if the answer to that is no, then I'm telling you, you are making a costly, costly mistake, not just financially, but emotionally, energetically, in time, frustration, and missed opportunities. And runners spend months and years here. And I can honestly tell you, that this is exactly where Tim was when I met him. And Tim is probably about 60 years old now, because we worked with him around Memorial Day of 2019. And he's a husband, a father, worked as a banker. And the only time that he was running when we met him was during his CrossFit workouts, and was only 400 meters at a time, because he was dealing with ankle pain. He was dealing with knee pain. He was dealing with hip pain. He had osteoarthritis of the hip, and his leg kind of flared outward when he ran. And even that 400 meters that he was running, it was excruciating. It wasn't any good. And then the pain would linger for 2 to 3 days afterwards. And this was the cycle that he had been repeating for years. In fact, it had gotten so bad that he hadn't raced in something like 7 years, because there was no point, because he couldn't put any of the training in. And he had done a number of things to try to fix this. I mean, he had been to doctors, he'd been to chiropractors, physical therapists, massage therapists, prayed to the running gods, a lot of the things the conventional way, and he was just spinning his wheels. And the only thing that was happening is he was becoming more frustrated, feeling more hopeless, and less like there was an actual solution out there for him. So when he got on the phone with me, he was really skeptical that anything could help him. And I remember this so clearly. Two of the things that he said to me was one, that he had just spent thousands of dollars on an MRI, and that he'd done everything else, and that he was going to try me. So we ended up working together and mapped out a 10-week plan for Tim, using our process, that same process that I showed you, and we helped him implement it. And inside of 5 weeks, that he was running 2 miles completely pain-free. And not only running 2 miles completely pain-free, but starting to look forward to racing again. So this can actually turn around very quickly when you know what it is to do. And the same thing happened with Julio. Julio was a multiple half and full marathon finisher, and he came to us with debilitating plantar fasciitis. He had been dealing with it for 2 years, and it had gotten to the point where it forced him to stop running. And he didn't know if it was something that he would ever be able to do again, because he had been to doctors and physical therapists and tried conventional cures and herbs and Jesus and rest and medication. And this is all in his own words, and nothing was giving him the results that he hoped for. And not only was it affecting him physically, it was also affecting him psychologically and emotionally, because he loved to run. He loved the social aspect of it. He thrived in it. He was a serial half marathoner and a serial full marathoner, and he just could not find a way out of this. And Julio was in his 60s and was in a boot when he first reached out to us. And we ended up working together. And I will tell you that inside of about 45 days, that he was able to get 70% relief from his plantar fasciitis and started running half and full marathons again. And today he is averaging around 8 half marathons and 4 full marathons per year. So again, this can turn around quickly when you know what to do. I've seen it turn around in as little as a week. The bottom line is that the quickest way to recondition yourself so that injuries that you've been dealing with for months or years, and to break this cycle of injury and to achieve your goals in the running and stay injury free, is to understand that you are different. That yes, there are some things that overlap, but that 20% that needs to be approached through a biopsychosocial method, that is going to make the difference between you having the anxiety, the frustration, the worry, the pain, the missed opportunities, not being able to do something that you love, to being someone part of that 30 to 35% who is enjoying running and movement and really is set up to be able to do it for life. Now, the sad reality is that most runners who try to do this on their own have been really unsuccessful, and they just simply never progress past unconscious running. Every single person needs a mentor. I have multiple mentors in my life, and mentors, what they do is they cut decades into days. So what should you look for in a mentor? How do you tell the good mentors from the ones that aren't so good? There are a few key things. What is the expertise of that coach or program? Are they new to the game, or do they have experience that they've cultivated over years or decades? Does a coach or program first get a baseline of your current state before coming up with a plan? To me, it is a warning sign if that is not done. Does a coach or program use a biopsychosocial model, or are they singularly focused? Does a coach or program have a proven process for consistently getting runners that are similar to you the results that they want? And how quickly does that coach or program get these results? Does it do it in the quickest time possible, or are things drug out for months or years on end? So if it's something like a monthly subscription, then to me, again, that's a bit of a warning sign. And then does the coach or program have world-class accountability and support? So the bottom line is, find the best mentor out there and invest what it takes to work with them, because it's not only about reclaiming your running, it's about reclaiming a new active life. So we've got one more shift to go over, and it is really the most important shift because it is the difference as to whether or not you get results from this training. And I tend to find is that there are really only three paths that people take. The path of the stressor, which is the red path, the path of the dabbler, which is the blue path, or the path of the achiever, which is the green one. And the path of the stressor is characterized by constant daily pain and stiffness in varying degrees, even multiple injuries, not running the miles that you want to run, not running the paces that you want to run, that you're missing races, that you're not even sure that when you start a run that you're going to finish it, or if the next step is going to be the last, and that you've developed this fear where you're afraid to push yourself and your runs are not even enjoyable anymore because you're constantly worried about doing more damage to your body, or even being forced to stop running, and have even questioned whether or not it is something that you should continue to do. And when you're a stressor, you're not only feeling the pain when you're running, but it's also affecting you when you're walking, when you're standing, when you're sitting, when you're standing up from a sitting position, that it's just with you all the time. It's occupying some part of your being, and it's not only affecting you, but it's also affecting those around you, affecting how you show up for your family, how you show up for your friends, how you show up for your work. There's lots of just frustration and anxiety and stress, and even some depression and sadness and loss of confidence, and that you feel like you've lost a part of who you are, and that there's just less clarity and focus and less feelings of joy. And this is the classic characteristics of someone who is a stressor, that they are just simply running stress. And that's the red line. And if you take a look at this, where we are right now, where it says now, and then you take a look at the line out into the future, 3 to 6 months from now, that the stressor, that things, they just simply tend to get worse, that they progress in that direction. But if someone is a stressor and they take action now, then they can completely turn this around. And then there's the dabbler, which is the blue line. And I've certainly been a dabbler in my life. Certainly all of those years that I was injured, the first 10 years that I was running out of my 25 years as a runner. And the dabbler, you can see where it is now and where it is 3 to 6 months from now in the future, that it pretty much lands in the same place. So I know that others of you are dabblers, and dabblers can get in some consistent running here or there with pain sometimes it's even without pain, but it's only about 3 to 5 months before another injury, it forces them to stop running. And dabblers will repeat this cycle for years and even decades, and they can have daily pain, daily stiffness, but it's not enough generally to stop running until that big injury comes in that 3 to 5 month time frame and completely wipes them out.
Sometimes they make it to races, other times they miss races. They may get a PR here and there, but it's an extremely frustrating experience because they don't have a system in place. They don't have a rock solid process, and there's no predictability and no stability. So they continue to get injured over and over again. But the danger with dabblers is because they have some success here and there, they often don't get the real help that they need. They continue to dabble with this and that, and they end up never reaching their full potential in running, never reaching their full potential in life because they just simply can't get that consistency. So with the dabblers, nothing will make you fail quicker than this path. Now, I'm certainly not saying that dabblers are failures. It just won't get you where you want to go. Now, the last group, there are even a different set of people who are achievers. They are running free. They are going to change, to adapt, to learn how to master the biopsychosocial model, and those people are going to skyrocket in their running and their life because this is the path to mastery, and they're going to have minimal setbacks and be on track to reach their full potential. They feel alive and powerful and accomplished and just strong inside and out, and are filled with joy and meaning and purpose, and just are unstoppable, not only in their running but also in their life. So each one of these paths, you can look at that starting point again that says now, and you can see where they're going to end up 3 to 6 months from now. And you have to ask yourself, which line do you want to be on? You get to choose who you want to be and where you want to be. So now I'm going to move on to the fifth shift. And this is really the most important shift because this is the deciding factor as to whether or not you get where you want to go in your running and life or you don't. So the fifth shift is now you have a choice that you can take the information that you've been given, the framework that has been outlined for you, and you can basically forget all about it and not run the miles that you want to run, not run the paces that you want to run, miss out on races, or even run them injured. You can continue to be anxious and frustrated and stressed and watch the quality of your life decline with each passing day. Or you can keep things the same and go on as you are, and you can be that dabbler and get to the end of your life and look back and maybe even wonder what would be different had you made different choices now. And lastly, you can recognize that the only thing, again, that we don't get back in this life is time. And you can make the decision to reclaim your running and a new active life right now. But the choice is yours. And if that's you, that you want to reclaim your running and reclaim a new active life right now, my team and I have set aside some time to speak with you personally about how you can apply these ideas, this exact framework, to your running starting today. Whatever the biggest challenges are, we've seen them and we know how to overcome them. So on this session, we're going to dive deep into the biggest things that are holding you back in your running, how they are impacting you. We're also going to talk about your goals and the kind of running experience that you want to create instead. And if we can help you to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be, then we're going to show you how. But if something else is better for you, we're going to be steering you towards that. So the goal of this is so that you get massive clarity, massive value, massive insight, and you have some next steps. What is the cost of this? It is absolutely free. But there is a catch. This is not for everyone. Here's who we can help get the absolute best results. If you've been a runner for 2 years or more, if you're currently running, if you've been injured for 3 months or more and have tried doctors and chiropractors and physical therapists or more and haven't gotten the results that you hope for, then this is for you. If you want to run further, faster, and shave minutes off your personal best, whether that's in the half marathon, full marathon, but injury has been holding you back, then this is for you. And if you want to enjoy running and movement for life, if all of these are you, then book a body breakthrough session now. So why am I doing this? Well, there are a couple of reasons. I love giving back and helping runners achieve beyond what they thought possible for their running and their lives. I also recognize that if you have the right methods, the right techniques and strategies that you can overcome chronic running injuries just like our clients do, much faster than you think, even if you've struggled with them for months or years. Plus, I know that some of you are going to want our help with this, that you're not going to want to be in the same situation next month that you're in right now, or 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, with all of those missed opportunities. So you want to make changes now. So I want to make myself available to see if we're a good fit for each other. And if not, then that's okay too. But it all starts with booking a call. So click the button below this video or go to consciousrunner.com/breakthrough. That's consciousrunner.com/breakthrough. And you're going to be taken to a calendar page. You need to pick a day and a time that works for you. You're going to then be taken to an application. Fill out the short application so that we can get some insight into what's going on with your running and where you want to go with it. And we will call you on the day and time you chose. Again, go to consciousrunner.com/breakthrough. This will be the best 45 minutes that you spend on your running.